Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Evolutionary Business Council's Visibility Palooza. My name is Iman Agay, the president of EBC, and I am super excited to be with my amazing friend and brother, Jay Fairbrother. Oh my God. And I'm super excited for this interview and the conversation. We're going to talk about like all different things related to Mastermind, their impact on people's lives, and so much more. So Jay, before we get started, can you introduce yourself to us with a couple of sentences here, man?
Absolutely. I'm Jay Fairbrother, the Mastermind guy, and I work with coaches, speakers, healers, and thought leaders to help them create high-ticket mastermind programs so they can scale their business and work and keep clients for years, not months.
Amazing, man. Amazing. So, Jay, as you know, we are at Evolution Business Council. So we are talking about transformation. We are talking about impact. We are talking about all of those things, right? And of course, as a mastermind guy, usually on the day-to-day basis, anywhere you go, people know you as a business person mostly, right? But both you and I know that the masterminds are actually much deeper. The masterminds are not just about business. You teach people how to run their masterminds, but the reality here is that the masterminds are an amazing vehicle that can be used for transformation, lifelong transformation, right? So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about about masterminds. What do they mean? What are they, and why they are a great system or things to use for creating transformation in people's lives.
Yeah, so let's start with the definition of a mastermind. Napoleon Hill came up with the term many years ago. And his concept was pretty simple. You put one person with a brain in a room, a second person with a brain. You create this third invisible, intangible force that he labeled the mastermind. And when you put 8 or 10 or 20 people in a room, imagine the size of that invisible, intangible force. And the key to creating that magic, that transformation with all those brains in a room is to really connect people so that you get into deeper level conversations, deeper level transformation than you would typically see in just a Q&A environment or that kind of thing. So the real key is building relationships amongst the people in the program so that everyone feels like a team and they're all working towards achieving some kind of an aspirational goal or aspirational transformation.
Okay, perfect. So tell us more about, okay, I'm going to ask a question in a way that answers both questions. So I know that from working with a lot of transformational leaders, usually there is a story behind why transformational leaders choose to do the work that they do. So what's the story behind your work, and why are you passionate about masterminds?
Yeah, so I started as an entrepreneur 30 years ago, and I was pretty successful out of the gate. I built my first business to $1 million in revenue within a couple of years, but I got stuck there. I kind of plateaued and couldn't get beyond that $1 million range. And that's when I joined my first entrepreneur mastermind. Sorry about that.
No worries at all. This is the one that we don't care if you, I mean, as long as you survive the cough, um, you're good because it's going to be edited. So no rush.
Man, I felt that coming on too. So that's when I joined my first mastermind, and it was a mastermind of entrepreneurs. And I got into it. We all got into it just to grow our businesses and become better entrepreneurs. But what happened within 5 or 6 months of being in these meetings, I'm starting to watch grown men cry as they start to open up and talk about their marriage problems and their kid problems. And the anxiety and depression from running their businesses. And that wasn't what I signed up for. And for me, though, as an adult, it was my first real experience with that kind of level of human connection, where people were, being vulnerable and really talking about the real stuff going on in their lives. And I loved it. So I went all in on masterminds. I started joining everyone I could. I started running them, facilitating, and eventually creating. And what happened is my business took off. So over the next several years, I built that business to $10 million in annual revenue. I sold it in 2004, and life was good. Along came the 2008 financial crisis, and like some other people, I lost everything. So within a few-year period, I went from being a multimillionaire living in a mansion to living in my friend's basement, broke, bankrupt, divorced, alone, and really humiliated and ashamed, because for 15 years I had built this identity as this really successful serial entrepreneur, and there I was sitting in that basement, didn't even own a car. So one of the masterminds in particular that I stayed in during that most difficult time of my life is really the reason I'm here today, because they supported me in ways that went way beyond a basement to live in and a car I could borrow for 7 months. They supported me financially, emotionally, spiritually, really carried me through that really difficult time. So for me, in a very real sense, masterminds not only helped me 10x my first business, but saved my life during the most difficult time period I had. So that's my passion for why I help other people create their own masterminds, and so that they can have that kind of experience and transformation and growth.
Okay, amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you very much for sharing that story. Um, Jay, a really good question that helps us understand more of who should work with you or why people come to you to work with you is knowing what should people feel, like what challenge should they feel, what problem should they feel, or what should they want to achieve that that they say, you know what, I should talk to Jay. I'm experiencing this challenge, or I want to achieve this, and Jay is the guy that I should go to. Um, what is that?
So the people that I help are mostly struggling because either they don't have a high ticket program to really fuel the revenue in their business, or they have a high ticket program that is not working to create sustainable, reliable income. And so the people that want to work with me are the people attracted to this idea of creating this smaller, intimate mastermind community, inner circle, this team that all helps each other. If you like that concept and want to incorporate that into your business as a coach or thought leader, then I can help with that. And that's what I like to do, is help people create these programs that go beyond transactional, that go beyond just, the short-term programs where, I can deliver something to you in a linear format, and it's, learn this, learn this, learn this, but actually to take it to the next level and kind of expand the transformation so that you're getting a bigger and better client result, but you're also putting yourself in that position where you're fueling your passion for who you want to work with and how much you want to help them grow.
Yeah, amazing. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, can you give us a story or an exercise that helps people understand the power of your work?
So one of the things that so let me start over. So there's two important key factors in creating a high ticket program that will last and have amazing impact. One is creating the container for the program. And that has everything to do with the content, the agendas, the structure of the program, but even more importantly, the protocols and the rules and the commitment level and the culture that you build within the program. So a lot of people struggle with high-end programs because they get the content and training part down, but they don't create that culture, which is what really drives the long-term benefit and keeps people in the program for a long time. The other is putting the right people in the program. So the difference between the kind of model that I teach is that you're creating a program that not anyone can buy just because they can write the check. That you create a qualification process and an application process, and you're inviting them into your inner circle. One of the things that you taught me many years ago is that ultimately what you want to develop as a thought leader is you have one program, and as people move up to your higher level, they get more access to you, more intimacy with you, and more intimacy with the other people going through the program with them. So the finding those right people and being, creating this curated, we describe Mastermind sometimes as your family of choice, creating this curated group that you've hand selected, the clients that you want to work with, the ones that you qualify and know that they're going to show up, they're going to do the work, and they're going to get the amazing transformation that you can provide. To me, that's why we do this. Most of us aren't in this kind of work because we're trying to amass a fortune. Most of us are doing it because we love helping people and we love to see that transformation. So creating the container and finding the right people to fit into it are the best ways to provide the kind of transformation that I see happening.
Okay, amazing, awesome. Jay, how can people find you and find more about masterminds and like all of these things?
So I'm easy to find on the internet with my name, Jay Fairbrother, and my website, which is sixfiguremasterminds.com. So you can spell it out or use the number 6. They both end up in the same place. So it's sixfiguremasterminds.com. And, I have various programs and ways to find out more about what I do and learn more about the mastermind model.
Awesome. You know what? I want to ask you about the purple fish. You have a purple fish on your background, and I have seen the movement that you started with the purple fish, with your clients showing up with the purple shirt and just talk about the purple fish. And I know that we can't go really deep into that just for time restraints, Tom. But tell us a little bit more about the purple fish and the whole idea of it.
So the purple fish started because I was using a metaphor to talk about the struggle of most coaches and thought leaders when they're starting to build their business, that they go out in a boat and fish in the ocean. And, there's millions of fish in the ocean, but where are they? And what kind of fish are we trying to catch? And I made the metaphor that the most successful coaches and thought leaders on the planet, they don't fish in the ocean. What they do is they create a stocked pond and they fish in there, meaning they craft their marketing, their branding, and their marketing messaging to attract the kind of fish they want. They collect them in a pond, and that's where they do their fishing. So that's where it started from. And then I use the example of if you were going to take a kid fishing for the first time, you wouldn't just rent a boat and drive it into the ocean. They'd get bored. You would, who knows what you're catching. You would take them to a stocked pond. So I started to tell this story about my kids, my son Ryan, my daughter Kelly, and my son, being all boy, would want all the fish, big fish. He wouldn't care. He just wants to catch fish, right? Which is how most coaches approach getting clients. My daughter would have said, Daddy, can we catch a purple fish? And so I started to develop this story about taking my daughter to the stock pond to catch purple fish, and how would we find purple fish? And I do market research to find out where I find them, what they eat. And the story has evolved actually over the last year or so, that now it has kind of taken a life of its own. And some of my folks show up with their purple fish shirts and talk about purple fish, and it's fun because I actually can go into other people's programs now, and I'll hear someone refer to their avatar, their right fit client, as a purple fish. And it's really been fun, and it's really given me kind of a brand and a memorable story that people can immediately recognize. Oh yeah, Jay's the mastermind, the purple fish guy. So it's been really fun.
Amazing. Awesome. That's a really great story. And here's the interesting thing, that many leaders just need to step up and own their thing. Like the purple fish story, probably like at one point for you is like, am I gonna tell this story? Not gonna tell this story? Is it gonna land? Like it's not gonna land type thing, right? And here we are, like a year and a half, 2 years later, and suddenly, like everybody's talking about it. I reminds me of the "I'm a Leader" T-shirt back in the day when I started it um, in 2012. That when I put "I'm a Leader" on the heart, and and I said the story first time, I didn't even know if it's gonna work or not. And well, now sitting here, 15,000 t-shirts later, and like the t-shirts have gone to like all over the world, like to to even tribes, like First Nation tribes, of anyways, it's an interesting thing, like seeing how a thought that a transformation leader starts many years before, with not knowing if it's going to work, then takes off. And this is a great share, because if anybody is a transformational leader and is watching this and you're doubting yourself on starting your own thing, just do it. I mean, worst case scenario is going to fall flat on its face. Best case scenario is going to become your purple fish story, or my "I'm a Leader" t-shirt story, or whatever that is.
So what's interesting too is I was just actually teaching some of my clients about different methods for conveying your what you do, and your system and your story. And one is metaphor and the other is parable. And so, like I said, I started with the metaphor of fishing in the ocean versus fishing in the pond, but now the purple fish story with my kids has become a parable, where there's a lot of lessons in the parable, even though it's a fun story about taking my daughter fishing.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, Jay, one last question before we bring this to an end. If you're speaking with a colleague, with a transformational leader, how would you tell them about Evolutionary Business Council and why they should be a part of it?
So, Evolutionary Business Council, for me, has been an amazing community to join, because they're all people who are heart-centered, who are driven to really changing people's lives versus just making money or being transactional. There's just so many caring, thoughtful people and influencers in the community that I've been able to network with, and do things that help each other and grow. So it's just been a great experience, and I would certainly, recommend, and I have recommended people to join EBC over the last few years.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jay. I really appreciate it. Of course, we're gonna hang out again sometime next week or the week after or the week after. We just kind of like are all different places, but I appreciate all the work that you do for the world, the way that you're impacting people's lives and changing people for the better. Thank you very much for all your work. Looking forward to connecting soon.
Thanks, Aman. Appreciate being here.